1977, an astrologer by the name of Charlie Kowal discovered a thing, an object in outer space, in interplanetary space, and it was named Object Kowal. That's the O, kind of O, and that's the K. That's where the Chiron symbol comes from. Object Kowal, and later it was numbered 2060 Chiron. That became its minor planet number. And then the discoverer has the privilege of naming the point. And because of the unusual properties of this point, Charles Kowal named it Chiron. Chiron being the half man, half horse of Greek mythology. Nothing in the solar system that had a 50-year orbit that was known of previously. There really is nothing else that has an orbit in that range. So, one of the most important concepts of Chiron is the maverick, that which stands apart and is able to stand out, whether it likes it or not, whether you like it or not, and to be distinct. And the maverick part comes from that keyword comes from Charles Kowal in his explaining why he named it after a centaur. And he said, this thing is a maverick. It has the behavior of a planet, a comet, an asteroid. It's in an orbit no one's ever seen. It's very standout. And so he named it a maverick. I've had a chance to interview and speak with Jane Liu a number of times. She's the co-discoverer of the Kuiper Belt, and I talked to her once about the origins of Chiron, and she said that it is almost certainly, she was 100% certain, I will say almost certainly, an object drawn in from this reservoir of objects and comets that would be drawn in by a gravitational event. So we have this sensation of a visitor from far away. And then, according to Dieter Koch, it has only been in its current orbit for 700 years. So he's like, don't even think about it in the chart of Caesar or Jesus. It's newly in it. Now, that's crazy. Saturn has been in its stable orbit probably for 1 billion years. And so for Chiron to only have been in its orbit for 700 years is very new, and Chiron is only temporarily in that orbit. Another gravitational anomaly will happen in one millennium or another, and it will shift Chiron's position.
So this eclipse is featuring so many amazing factors, and I'm going to do my best to make them understandable. But here we have this north node at 1537 Aries. The sun and the moon are at 1924. And Chiron is also at 1924 Aries in an exact alignment with the sun and the moon at this eclipse. And this is super rare.
I think you can see where I want to go. And the reason that I want to go here is that, as you will see, the sun at 19 of Aries, the moon at 19 of Aries, and sandwiched in between at exactly the degree and minute of the sun is Chiron.
Now, let's take a look again at the solar eclipse that happened on April 8th of 2024. Sun, moon, and Chiron, they were all exactly conjunct at 19 degrees 24 minutes of Aries. This makes things very powerful, and this suggests that the whole year is going to be colored by the nature of Chiron.
I've mentioned many times that the eclipse takes place Chiron. All of the eye of the centaur type symbolism is coming from this conjunction of moon, sun, Chiron at 1924 of Aries. That's very rare. I mean, I could, as a, I was very happy to hear my friend Daniel G. Mario say that it was basically impossible to have that happen, and yet here we are. I've been saying the same thing. It seems impossible, but here we are in this impossible moment, and that becomes the first metaphor, something that just you would think this cannot happen, but here it is.
In the myth of his origins, Chiron's father was Cronus or Saturn, and his mother was a nymph called Philyra. And at the time Chiron was conceived, both these well, Saturn was a god, a member of the Olympian gang, and Philyra was a nymph. But like gods and demigods often can shapeshift, so both of them had shapeshifted into being in their horse form, and that they were like that when Chiron was conceived. So when Chiron was born to Philyra, when he came out of the womb as half horse, she was completely horrified and prayed to the gods to be made into anything other than what she was, namely the mother of a monster, as she saw it. So Chiron was abandoned, and in the time-honored manner of myth and legend, was found by a shepherd and rescued from certain death and taken to the great god Apollo, who became his foster father. So he was mentored and fostered by Apollo himself. And Chiron was taught all kinds of survival skills, and in a sense, he had almost, like one can imagine, the kind of initiation rites appropriate for a young man, young hero.
Chiron, of course, is an immortal being who experiences an excruciating wound that would be instant death to any mortal, and he did nothing wrong. The story goes, I think it's something like the sword that killed Medusa. Chiron gets wounded during some centaur party thing that's happening, and it wasn't his fault, it just happened. And there's nothing he can do to heal this wound because the poison on the sword is instant death to any mortal, but he's immortal, so he doesn't die, but he also can't heal the wound. So after some time, Chiron realizes that he's not going to be able to heal the wound. Nobody that he knows can help him heal the wound. So he went to Zeus and volunteered to do penance for Prometheus. And you may recall, Prometheus is the one who stole fire from the gods, and his penance was to be chained to a rock where a buzzard or an eagle ate out his liver every day. It grew back every night, and every day the process went restarted. And this had been going on for about 400 years. So when Chiron goes to Zeus and says, hey, let me just take his place, I'll do the penance, I'm already miserable anyway, so he might as well go ahead and have a good life. Zeus is so moved by Chiron's compassion, he frees Prometheus and allows Chiron to become a constellation in the sky. Now, Chiron was originally the constellation Centaurus, but is now associated with the Archer, also known as Sagittarius. So just to keep in mind that when this story was first developed, this is the constellation that Chiron became, Centaurus, not Sagittarius or the Archer.
Chiron was wounded in the leg, and because the wound was poisoned, he couldn't heal it. And as a demigod, he couldn't die. And so he lived, and I think it's either Apollodorus or Hesiod who gives the figure of 900 and something years that he lived in mortal agony, unable to heal his own wound, but becoming a great mentor and wise man and healer himself. And so this was what freed both of them from their suffering. And Chiron was able to die, meaning become immortalized in this context, in the constellation of Centaurus.
If the individual can see that they exist as both animal and man, there is then the possibility that the two sides can be merged, and one can then bury the dog and become the god they were meant to be. Do you see? Are you beginning to home in on the center again? When one is blind, it is necessary to learn how to see in the dark. One must learn how to listen with their heart, which is the center. And the only way to do this is to become silent. There is so much noise out there, so much chaos. One has been a wanderer for so long, they may not even know that they are even away from home. The noise chimes in constantly. What are you going on about? I have a home. You're talking such nonsense. It is relentless in its chattering. It does not want any to hear that signal which calls out to each of us in the silence. This signal which is a beacon, a lighthouse that is always there, ready to guide one back to where they belong. Home.
Joyful blessings. This is Kaylin Castell with a look at the United States of America Chiron return from 2023 to 2025. It literally started in 2023. We're going to see how that is going on, but it's making its first two exact passes in 2024 and its last exact pass in 2025. And this is fascinating. So what we're going to start looking at is the Chiron signature on the USA chart. So here we have the United States chart. for July 4th, 1776. And we have Chiron here in Aries at 20 degrees and 8 minutes of Aries. And on April 20th, November 8th, and February 18th, Chiron is making exact passes to natal Chiron on the USA chart. And it won't do this again until 2074, 75, and 2076.
But the eclipse is in the fourth house. Fourth house is an angular house, so fourth house relates to the homeland. It hits to the very core of the person or the country. Chiron is at 19 degrees. The eclipse is at 19 degrees. Chiron is returning. So they're having a Chiron return, which happens every 50 years. So it's a real significant point.
Now, the other thing that was pretty strong at the time of this eclipse was this conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus, which became exact on April 20th. Well, Uranus, it has two aspects here. One, creativity, technological advancements. The other aspect is revolution and rebellion. And Jupiter expands both of those.
Above the Scorpion is the so-called 13th sign, a fucus that cyclically kind of gets reported in the news and causes alarm and despondency because everybody thinks all their zodiac signs are wrong and everything.
But at the time of the eclipse, as I was watching things on TV, some of the words that people who experienced the eclipse used to describe it were things like happy, awe, united, spiritual, connected, overwhelmed.
So suddenly this influence of a mentor healer is introduced to astrology. And when Chiron comes along, we end up with something that we had never had before, which is a healing art. And so this shifts the whole discussion and gives astrology something that's very dear to the consciousness of Chiron, which is a practical application, a practical use.
I would say that there's a very important reflection for us astrologers of the meaning of Chiron if you just study the astronomy a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we see that Chiron and the centaurs occupy the zone in the solar system that goes between Jupiter and Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
So that zone includes the outer edges of the easily visible planets and the ones that can't be seen with the naked eye but were discovered with maths and technology. So it really is like two different worlds. they cross to and fro between these two worlds, the visible and the invisible.
And remember that Chiron is an invitation to awakening. It's an invitation to healing. It is an invitation to recognize that healing is always a holistic process. It is always about connecting the whole to the part and the part to the whole, and seeing the world in a drop of water, basically, the world in a grain of sand. It's about understanding the microcosmic relationship to the macrocosm. And I know those sound like fancy ideas, but when you start to experience them as real things, as direct experiences, then it's a whole other thing.
For better or worse, this is a very prominent year for Chiron. It's like a slowly rising tide or a slowly moving stream. It may not seem that powerful at any particular moment, but over time, it is going to change things. And this is going to be a big year of change.
Okay, so we got some super glassy conditions out today. I mean, the weather report is saying that's going to be completely blue skies out in New Brunswick. We're just kind of on the way on the highway here. There's the sun, no clouds in the sky. I hope this keeps up. Look at it. It's a sunset. It's literally night. That's so, you can even see the stars. Oh, now
Oh
that's
my god, now I can see it.
the
Oh my
wandering
god.
stars. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my god, I can see it now. It's completely cloudy. 34.
Liz, look at it, look at it, look at it,
I'm
look at
looking
it.
at it.
Right now. Boom! Look at that! Oh my god!
Oh my god,
Whoa.
look at just the light just went.
That is so surreal.
Oh my god.
That is so unbelievable. Like the camera can't even pick it up, which is such a shame. It doesn't matter. Fuck the camera, man. My eyes. Oh my god. Look at it. Look at that. I'm shaking. I'm literally shaking right now. I'm genuinely shaking. Look at it. You can see like I see like 4 crosses. It's like a tetrahedron. And look at the spectrum. Look at the colors. Look at the colors. You see way more than just black. There's like hues of rainbows. It's kind of like red, purple, orange. What the hell, man?
Black circle, and there's like a little slit at the bottom. And I can see.
I wish.
This is so weird. It is like something's plugging up a hole, but not quite, and the light.
I wish for peace. I wish for happiness in my life.
Together. I wish for us to be safe and happy.
I wish we don't have to go hungry anymore.
I wish we-
Sun is back. I'm trembling. I'm like genuinely trembling. Is there anything more beautiful, magical, like more powerful than anything what you just saw? Like, I don't think so. That was the most powerful thing I've ever seen in my life. That is proof to me right there. Nature is beautiful. Like the condition was completely perfect. Like I could not have asked for a better day for an eclipse. Like this was the perfect spot, probably like in the whole world. So let's talk about what we saw. The eclipse. It was completely surreal. Like it almost felt like overwhelming. I think that's a good word to describe. Like it felt very overwhelming. But you know, like the eclipse started at around like 3:26, I think, and like 10 minutes in, I would take like a couple glances at it and check it. You know, just kind of like see like the progress of how the eclipse was going. Of course, it was still too bright to actually stare at it. But when the eclipse got definitely like 80%, like 80% like kind of covered, like the sun was 80% covered, like I just started seeing like so many cool details. And I saw like this kind of energy. It felt kind of like heat waves when you look at the ground on like a really hot day, but there was like this energy flow, like it was like waves coming out from like what looked like the North and South Pole, and everything looked like it was in this kind of like shadow realm. And as that was happening, and as it was getting darker, time definitely felt like it was dilating. Like it just felt like the birds were kind of freaking out, and maybe they weren't freaking out, but who knows what was going on. But the birds were making a lot of noise. But it just felt like the birds were like chirping in slow motion, and they were flying in slow motion as they glided across. It's like it was like this really high contrast and like this kind of shadow realm vibe, and like it just swooped like in slow motion, and then everything got super dark. But like the more I looked into it, and like at this point I was locked into a trance, and like I was recording it, like my girlfriend was recording it too, and there were people talking, but I didn't hear any of it. I literally didn't hear anything other than myself, and I was in a complete full trance, locked into the eclipse, and I was only aware of like my own existence and like what I saw right in front of me. And at first you saw like this color spectrum of like kind of like black, gray, and white, and then it evolved into like these spectrums of like pink, magenta, purple, red. Like the corona was like all like these rainbow colors, and there were multiple colors like the further away you got from it. Like it was insane. Like I've never seen these colors before. And it's like, again, I saw like these concentric rings where like there were like different kind of rainbow color spectrums at each concentric ring around the eclipse of the sun. I saw these magnetic kind of these ley lines, like just these energy just exploding out of the sun. And then when I looked at the sun itself, there were 3 distinct points, kind of like a triangle, but I saw one point like kind of like in front of the sun. So it was kind of like this kind of tetrahedron, I think that's what it is, kind of shape, like beams, like beaming from the sun. Like it was like a point, and I assume there must have been like a point from behind. And like I don't know, like there was just so much going on, and then like as that was happening, like I was just feeling super overwhelmed. Like I was literally trembling, like shaking. My whole body was like completely shaking, feeling very overwhelmed, like very like I just like no matter what journey I would have made to like get here, like we drove 3 hours, 3.5 hours to get here, but like if it took me a week to get here, those 3 minutes would have been worth it. Like, and that's truly how we felt by the end of it. It wasn't like an out of body experience, I wouldn't say, but it just felt like a deep kind of gratitude, and I think a deep feeling of love kind of took over. And there was like this happiness, this kind of joy, this kind of gratuity towards life and nature. And I feel like I just understand so much better. It's like, of course, like the elite can't cancel an eclipse. They're not going to use this eclipse and kind of declare the end of the world or a society. Like, dude, we're here to totally enjoy life and to take in nature and all its creations and to just take part in life, all of it, you know. And the thing is, keep in mind, this was an hour after the eclipse. I'm talking right now, an hour after the eclipse happened, and I'm still completely overwhelmed by it. Man, it's such an experience, like so insanely worth it. I just feel so much like happier, better about life. I just feel like these are moments where it's like, you know, like like fuck this advice about wearing solar filters, man. It's like that you miss the whole point of an eclipse if you wore glasses during the time. I just feel like that was really just eye-opening, mind-opening, soul-opening. Like it was worth the journey, and like that was one hell of a show. You know, the show only lasted 3 minutes, but that was one hell of a show, and that's all I really have to say. You can stop the recording.